The writer's strike that's going on in California right now could be costing the California economy $30 million a day. I would like to know where this money is going, that they're supposedly stopping $30 million worth of stuff being made. Like I said, I just reviewed a movie that I watched yesterday. I'm not kidding you. One of the parts that I point out there, I say, look, if there's anybody that should be worried about ChatGPT taking their job, it's this movie. Because there is no characterization outside of the fact that they deliver a bunch of bland tropes that you've seen a million times. There's no actual writing that feels like there's any soul to it whatsoever. Jennifer Lopez in this movie looks just... the one compliment I gave it, I said, look, she does stoic well. By that, I mean that every time she delivers a line, she looks like Ben Affleck just pissed her off. And she's kind of looking angry and then knowing that like they're in a car angry and she knows they're going to argue when they get home. So that's what she looks like the whole time. She looks like she's waiting to have an argument with Ben Affleck. Because none of the movie delivers any type of dialogue or characterization that helps you empathize with any of these characters. If they can't even write scripts now, that could be outstripped. If they're writing scripts now that could be outstripped by ChatGPT, they need to worry about whether they're going to get everything they want from this writer's strike, even if it is costing them $30 million a day.
I saw a meme today, or maybe it was yesterday. Someone had said, I didn't realize that the automation was going to be in art and music, and that it wasn't going to be in the mundane stuff. Why do we still have to do the mundane, boring stuff? And it's a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah.
You know, the things that people think automation and robots and stuff can do are actually more complex and more difficult than people realize.
Yeah.
You know, but making art, that might not be so hard because people respond to very similar things. And music is like, there's a lot of bands and a lot of songs that use the same chord progressions, and it's because that chord progression is there's something about that chord progression that resonates with human beings. You know, you don't need to have lyrics that make sense all the time for people to be like, man, I love the way this sounds, you know. Bop by the Hansons. Like, there you go. There's no words there. Just the bop, 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 bop. You know, it's like... So
what's funny about that is, like, a lot of it is also that they've kind of done this to themselves by making a lot of substandard corporate art for so long that they've kind of conditioned people to be okay with just accepting the bare minimum.
Maybe.
Like, people in a lot of ways, they don't need high art because they're just looking for a movie that they can put on after work. And what it is like, I just learned this term the other day, and I talked this in the review too. There's a term for, like, you know, the movie with, like, the aging actor. It's an action movie. It's always straight to DVD. It's called a geezer teaser. That's an actual term. So it's basically, you know, it's Liam Neeson surrounded by one other actor you might have heard of, a bunch of actors you haven't, and you always find it in the $5 bin at Walmart. There's a huge market for stuff like that because people just throw it on as background noise. And those are the jobs that will end up being lost to things like AI. Speaking of which, they actually flew a banner over one of these strikes. I'm going to put it on screen here. It says, pay the writers, you AI holes. See, if they can't even come up with a better line than that, their jobs are going quickly, ladies and gentlemen.
AI could have wrote that.
Yeah. Well, there was one, I kid you not, we did for Cringe of the Day. One of the billboards said, like, ChatGPT doesn't have childhood trauma. And I was just like,
exactly.
You people, like, it's like you're not endearing yourself to anyone. And look, I want people to make a fair living. They keep using the term living wage, which I don't know what that means in Hollywood.
I don't think that it means anything other than we want more.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, they say a living wage. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it costs to live in California.
Well, they always have to live like 2 hours outside the city of where the celebrities live. The celebrities live in Hollywood, or they live in the hills, right?
They live in Calabasas.
And they live in Calabasas. Whereas the people who do the blue collar parts of the jobs, the one that actually do all of the labor work, have to drive farther
like
because
your grips and your cameramen.
The ones that actually make the show run, right? Like, and I find writers to be like, look, those aren't the ones complaining here. It's the writers. It's the bougie writers.
I've got one of my friends that's a producer that is he lives in like the Lakewood area, and his house is very unassuming. It's a I think it's two stories, but it's not anything, crazy. But the houses all on his block, they're all $1 million a piece
because of the housing market.
because of the market. Yeah.
Wow.
And like you look at it, and it's like, man, I tell you what, $1 million. If I had $1 million and I took that $1 million to New Hampshire, I could have another house that's just as nice as mine,
Yeah.
and like with a whole bunch of stuff on it,
Yeah.
So
And that would be like if a lot of these writers' rooms right now, they're not even doing in-person writing because Hollywood's still pretending that COVID's a thing. Like
Yeah.
they've ended the protocols and everything, but a lot of these writers' rooms are just Zoom calls.
yeah, I mean, I don't
So
know
is
what
there
that's like.
Even a reason to live
Exactly.
out there?
Like for a lot of them, I imagine that there isn't. Like they don't want to do it in person because there's
Yeah.
liability.
I don't think that. I mean, I don't know that writers are the same. Like they do the same things that like songwriters do. But I know there are songwriting mills where you get like 4 or 5 people together in a room
Right.
and they just churn out songs, and you can do that. I imagine you could do that with writers as well. Oh boy!
Yes, we love
guys.
Ian here. We love, and plus he hasn't been on IRL for a while, so
He
you
has
need
been
a.
away, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You need to know what he was saying.
I don't know that if that's something that happens in the storytelling world.
I
Yeah.
feel like there is some value to like getting together in person to
I
do
agree.
that too.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I'm going to LA
Like the
next month.
energy in the room.
Yeah, I'm going to LA next month to do more writing for All That Remains, and I'm going out there because that's where Jason and our producer are.
Well, like even like when Mary, like, when we were doing the show, a lot of this prep work in me and Mary developed a rapport and a feel for the show that comes from working every
Yep.
day, right? Like you can't manufacture that online. There's too many barriers there between screens. Like I explained, we talk a lot about like there's a lot of people don't realize how much we've lost through through talking on the internet, whether it's through text or even a lot of times in video calls, because there's just a technological barrier between you and the person you're talking to. The implications of having a discussion with a person in a room is very different from what
Yeah.
it is talking to someone, even if it's on a video call. It's not the same thing.
One of the
Totally.
things that people in business realized pretty quickly is that the hanging out after work for drinks, a lot of work gets done there.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you don't go and hang out after work for drinks and go and socialize, you will fall behind in your industry. And I think that's part of the reason why there's so many people that are alcoholics and stuff like that in a lot of industries. But like you notice it, like All That Remains, we're not really dudes. Like there's only one guy that even lives in California. We're not the socialites, and you see bands that are the socialites and you're just like, why are they getting these tours or whatever? And it's because they know people, and it's not any kind of bad thing that they're doing. It's just that they are hanging out, and they're hanging out with producers and with engineers. It's not just that they're like hanging out with people in bands, like the people in bands that are hanging out with booking agents and the people in bands that are hanging out with management. Those are the bands that tend to have the best results from their networking, because they're not just hanging out with bands, they're hanging out with the people in the business that make the business happen. And that does matter. So getting in the same room with people, whether you're writing or when you're working together, that kind of stuff does pay dividends in the end.
I think a lot of people have trouble accepting that too, that look, there's no substitute for that type of human connection, because everyone would like to believe that you can just do the work, and if you do your job really, really well, you'll get exactly where you want to go, but that's not necessarily how it's always going to work. So they're saying right here that during the 2008 writer strike, they're saying it costs about $21 million a day, so adjusted for inflation, about $30 million a day. That's a loss of a $400 million in output so far already on this very, very small. The writer strike's only been going on for so long, and that it could cost $3 billion if it lasts 100 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's a lot of money out of the California economy if they want to do something like this. All because these writers are like, look, I hope that they get everything they want. I don't think they're going to. I want everybody to end up happy, but I don't think that any of these networks or any of these industries are going to take any type of regard to what their thoughts are on AI what their thoughts on AI is. I think they're going to want to use it to their advantage.
Yep.
I think that we did a video the other day, we were talking about how like Seth Rogen wants writers to make CEO money, But the reason the CEO makes CEO money is because he's the one who has to think ahead and think like, look, we're not going to give up the rights to use technology like this.
I want Wolverine's healing factor.
Don't die too.
You know?
I could use adamantium claws.
Yeah, you know.
That'd be dope.
It is kind of scary though how AI and just like robots are taking over so many jobs. Like you go to the grocery store now,
I
and there's
love
like
it.
there's like 2 aisles of people checking people out, and
Yeah, but
then
there's like just as
50
many people.
machines.
But there's just as many people now looking to make sure you're not stealing stuff. There's just as many like
They got
people
a
up front.
robot at the market now that makes sure you're not stealing. Have you seen this thing?
I don't know which one you're talking about, but I've seen a few different models.
I've seen one, and every time it comes by me, I go into like fight or flight mode. Like, yo, like back off, robot. Like
Drawing
I'm
down
gonna
on
be
it.
the one to just like roundhouse that thing to the ground. One of these
actually-
days it comes up and scares me.
We were at I was at the Walmart recently, and there was like guys. I think I mentioned this in the show. There was guys putting in new like automated kiosks, and they are kind of like a funeral procession. Like they're here to eliminate jobs. Like this dude
The
is like
workers are just
like,
standing
yeah,
there
and,
like-
and the guy's kind of stoic and resigned to the fact that his job is literally to bring death upon your job. Like he's there like sorry man, and he's just there, but it takes a human being to install it.
We got
Yeah.
a $20 super chat here. The DJ Foy? The Jufoy? Brett, speaking of geezer teasers, the real life guy that the character Turtle in Entourage is based on runs a company that just makes only that. See the last 15 Bruce Willis movies as an example.
Yes.
All his productions.
Bruce Willis is kind of a perfect example for this too, because look, he spent the last couple of years making nothing but movies like that because he realized that he has dementia and that he wanted to make as much money for his family before he couldn't act anymore. I was watching a video on this the other day. He was actually the first person who sold his digital likeness to an AI company. So there are whole AI Bruce Willis commercials where he's not even there, where they do like where they face impose, like
Yep.
they superimpose his face on another person.
Oh,
So he's
whoa.
actually sold his digital likeness to a company, so his stuff will live on long after that. And what Zach from Comics Matter was talking about, he's like, look, we're going to end up with a world where there's like regular Hollywood, and then we're going to have like sports entertainment Hollywood where you're going to be able to make choose your own adventure movies
Yeah.
based on like giving like a program it's like, oh, what do you want? Do you want a new Die Hard movie? And then you give it the parameters of what you want that movie to have. And what I think is going to happen is like just new jobs that require humans will come up from this, and the onus will be on us as the human beings that you have to make yourself marketable with a new skill set. And that's kind of the problem in an ever-evolving economy. You're going to have to make new marketable skills. You can't just make a living on just one job anymore. In a lot of ways, you have to be a renaissance man in a lot of these industries. We talk about how a lot of people who are content creators, they're not just one thing. They're a content creator, they're a marketer, they're a producer, they're everything rolled into one. The writers want to be able to just write, and I empathize, but it just looks like you're going to have to evolve with the industry.
Yep.
I do have a lot of appreciation for the people that look at stuff like AI and don't immediately recoil. Who don't just say new equals bad, new equals evil, new equals lost jobs. In some respects, that might be true.
The AI that's like the goal that I hear people talking about that they want to have like Alexa be able to do for you, or your Siri stuff or whatever. They want to be able to say, hey, I want to go to DC on the 4th through the 5th, and I want to get sushi at night, and I want a hotel and a car, and I want to take off at this time and land around this time. Can you plan that for me? And then the AI will produce, here's an itinerary, blah, 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 blah. And it's all handled for you. That's the goal for the average person. And that sounds awesome. I would love, I just trying to get my car to send a proper voice to text message is oftentimes frustrating, to be polite. The idea of being able to be like, hey, Alexa, blah, 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 and do that for me would be great. It would be
Can
awesome.
it already do that?
I don't think that it's capable of doing that, no.
My favorite thing is
It's
trying
got
to
to be close. I mean, you can do that with a couple extra steps now, it seems like.
Maybe, yeah.
Remember travel agents? That was a thing at one time.
Yeah, there's
Dude.
still some travel agents.
Yeah, I mean they're probably all
For
fronts
the,
for
for the
spy
people who
organizations, right?
prefer to do it in person.
It's Mossad.
Before we went, like,
No, I know travel agents.
It's Mossad or it's
Wait, that
the
doesn't. That makes it look even worse. I don't know any
Sus.
Mossad travel
Sus.
agents. I didn't say that.
before cell phones, I was touring before everyone had a phone that had, GPS in their pocket. And GPS had just come out when we were starting to tour. And so they were really expensive. So most of our, like a bunch of our first tours, we had like a whole notebook of directions from MapQuest from blah, blah, blah town to blah, blah, blah town. And
I remember
the
MapQuest.
whole tour. We had a whole folder, a whole tour, 30 days of all printed out. And then you had your regular map in case you wanted to go off the planned thing. You set that up before you left for the tour. It was a pain
Did
in
you
the
ever
butt.
have one of the GPSs, like the
We did. And
the
it
separate
was,
things?
Yeah, we
the
got
Garmin's,
one.
the Garmin's,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was
got-
explaining this. I just bought a car for the first time in 8 years. When the last time I had a car, there was no phone. Like you didn't use your phone to get around. You used the
Yeah.
Garmin to get around. That's literally how long it's been.
We
So-
had multiple Garmins, but I remember it was a big deal when we could finally afford to get a Garmin for the van.
Yeah.
Because that made our lives it was so much easier. It was such a big deal.
Yeah, MapQuest was a nightmare.
Yeah, because you had to stop and plan the whole, or you had to plan the whole thing before you left for a tour. So if something was amiss 25 days after you started, so that those Garmins, man, those things were life changing.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.